Adams. Our presentation is called Sleep, Mind, Body, and Immunity. You can go to the next slide. So, according to Acute Sleep Deprivation and Risk of Motor Vehicle Crash by Taft in 2018, drivers who slept less than 5 hours were 11 and a half times more likely to crash at the wheel while driving. So, definitely going to want to sleep before you drive. You can go to the next slide. What we're going to talk about is the importance of sleep and its effects on the body, our mind, and our immune system. And then, so how does this relate to us? As college students, we're very familiar with how a lack of sleep can affect our ability to focus in our classes and in our day-to-day lives, and how our moods can be very dependent on how much sleep we're getting and interacting with our friends and teachers and stuff. And then how a lack of energy from sleep and stuff can make us forget to do our homework or skip out on exercise or miss out on opportunities we should have been doing. So go to the next slide. Starting off, I'm going to talk about the effects of sleep on the body. Go to the next slide. First, I like to talk about how sleep affects our body's ability to repair itself and growth. So according to a paper called How Sleep Boosts Your Energy by Harvard Health in 2025, at the beginning of deep sleep, one of the later stages of sleep, the pituitary gland releases human growth hormone, which is very important for tissue growth and repair in our muscles and bones. And then also in another paper called Sleep Strengthens Muscle and Bone by Boosting Growth Hormone Levels by Sanders in 2025. It was a study from UC Berkeley that showed an increase in growth hormone when we were getting greater than 7 hours of sleep. And it showed that it led to increases in cellular repair in our muscles and bones. So more than 7 hours of sleep is going to get us feeling healthier and our muscles and our bones being stronger. You can go to the next slide. My second point is that sleep is very important in regulating our body's energy and our metabolism. So, in a paper called A Single Night of Sleep Deprivation Increases Ghrelin Levels and Feelings of Hunger by Schmidt in 2008, people that were sleeping less than 5 hours were having increased levels of ghrelin. Ghrelin is responsible for stimulating the appetite and regulating metabolism. And they had decreased levels of leptin, which is responsible for suppressing hunger and decreasing metabolism. So they were having increased appetites and a less metabolism, so they would eat more and use less energy, resulting in weight gain and things like that. And then in another paper called A Lack of Sleep May Increase Calorie Consumption by Singh in 2025, it pointed to some other studies that correlated a lack of sleep with increases in obesity and high BMIs in individuals that were in the study, and that the less hormone that was being produced in your body from lack of sleep was resulting in an increase in insulin production, leading to things like diabetes, low metabolism, and other metabolic disorders. And that would also show why there's an increase in weight gain. And then another important part of the study was that the increase in fatigue from a lack of sleep was also very important in people missing their exercises. So they're not burning as many calories, leading to just overall weight gain and higher BMIs in individuals. And then next, Kira is going to discuss the effects of sleep on the mind.
So, as you said, my name is Kiera Chumley. So one of the first points I want to talk about with mind and sleep is the effect it has on mood and emotion. So in a study done by Davidson in 2002 called Depression: Perspectives from Effective Neuroscience, they found a strong relation between sleep and the worsening of depression. So depression was found to worsen with less than 6 hours of sleep per night. And in the same way, with more than 6 hours of sleep per night, it was found to significantly better the symptoms and effects of depression on someone. In my second point with this is there is a huge correlation to sleep with the amygdala and the prefrontal cortex. So these are both parts of the brain that have to do with emotion and executive function. So the amygdala takes care of our emotions, and the prefrontal cortex is kind of is sitting in the driver's seat, controlling our brain. So when we have less than 6 hours of sleep, the amygdala kind of goes into hyperactivity because it severs its connection with the prefrontal cortex that usually is in charge of regulating that emotional reactivity. So you're kind of all emotion and no regulation when you're when you're running on no sleep. Next slide. So sleep also has a lot to do with our learning and our memory retention. So in a study done by Harrison in 2000 called, Sleep Loss and Temporal Memory, there was found to be a strong correlation between how much sleep we get before we intake new information and how long we hold on to that information afterwards. In the same way, with offline storage, a study done by Walker in 2006 called Sleep, Memory, and Plasticity, it was found that we have, that while we sleep, a lot of our memories get stored into our long-term memory. And that only happens fully with more than 6 hours of sleep. So with both learning or sleeping before learning and sleeping after learning, there's a huge importance with having enough sleep in order to keep that information, those memories, whatever it is that you learned in your long-term memory. In the same way, dementia can be an effect of lack of sleep. So in a study done by Robbins in 2021 called Examining Sleep Deficiency and Disturbance, it was found that your risk of dementia increases by 30% after your 50s if you sleep less than 6 hours a night. So as we can see here, sleep is huge to our long-term memory, to our sorry, to long-term memory as well as to our entire lives. Next slide. So yeah, when somebody tells you that you should sleep on it, you probably should take that advice. In a study done by Kirshner in 2014, it was found that 70% of college students are sleep deprived. So we're in our very formative years, we're learning a lot, taking in a lot of memories, and if you're not getting enough sleep, it's not going to stick with you. Next slide. So now Dominic will talk about the immune system.
Okay, I will be talking about how sleeping benefits the immune system. So in this slide, cytokine is a somewhat type of a protein that happen usually when you sleep, and it releases this type of somewhat of like gives you more, it boosts your white blood cells when you're in your coma. So when you're sleeping, so it repairs yourself. So like in the day, when you lose all your energy and somewhat you're just exhausted of the day and everything when you come back home and you go in your bed and sleep for 7, 8 hours or 5 hours, it always come back together to help and boost yourself. That's why if you don't get enough sleep, you're going to you're just not gonna have the good day for your next upcoming day. And in the article, how sleep and immune system function by Bezadovi, in 2014, he explained how sleep promotes cytokinin release and anti-production in your body. And also in so it works as like let's say like what comes around goes around. So how it works is a cytokine release first, and then after the cytokine is it fight the infection, and then after so and so, it reduced the inflammation without even knowing. So the next slide, awaken of your immune system. Most people say they need so and so sleep to get rest. Some have different hours and what so, but I say resource said 7 hours and up, but not past like excessive past 10 or 8 or 9, let's say. 7 is good. If you get below 7 and you like you're sleeping 5 hours a day every day, 4 hours a day every day, it's more chance for you to be sick and not be healthy towards the someone that gets enough rest each day and taking care of themselves. So what came about is it turns out slow healing because when you're getting the fewer rest, your body's not really healing right and we're healing properly. And according to this resource, this thing that I read actually is called Sleep and Health by Cross in 2024. Sleeping under 7 hours were more likely to catch cold or flu, like I said. And also in sleep and the science of sleep and recovery, by Prouder in 2024 found that lack of sleep slows the body healing process. So let's say somewhat lack of injury. If you're playing sport and boom, you get injured, your ankle is sprained or whatnot. If you don't sleep, it's not going to be healed, let's say like 2 weeks or a month. It's going to most likely going to take a long time for it to be healed. So I'm saying, so get your sleep. Um, Conclusion, sleep contributes heavily to overall well-being. So some people, it depends on what they like. Some people like to be on the game every night and don't sleep or whatnot, but prioritize your sleep. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't, it's not like a homework or say, I'm gonna do it later. It's just something that your body needs, and because your body is going to be finding off things that you can't see and you don't know about, but it's really detrimental for yourself because it's for your health and for your well-being because it supports you, uh, immunity and mental clarity and also physical healing.